right, welcome, Taurus, to your February 2021 chakra read. Hope you are doing well. I myself am a Taurus moon. All earth signs, Capricorn rising, Virgo sun. All right, so enough about me. Let's talk about you, and let's take a look at the root chakra first. Okay, root chakra, February 2021, Taurus. All right. The Star card and King of Wands in reverse. Okay. Next month, I'll be using different cards here. These are super iridescent. They're beautiful, but they're iridescent. Okay, so what I am getting here is that it feels like you're really conflicted about what is actually going to fulfill you in here, like which is going to feed your soul. And I feel like you... okay, so let me back up a little bit. So there's conflict, not because you're not really quite sure what it is. It's more of there's conflict because you feel like you have to find it instead of it finding you. Because this really feels like it has more to do with your calling. You know, like, what am I supposed to do? What did I come here for? What's the whole point exactly? And it's like it's almost like your ego's kind of leading the way in finding that. And, there's a class that I taught on purpose and fulfillment, and that's not how to go about doing it. You have to actually let it unfold for you, instead of you feeling I have to find it. I only have a certain period of time. And then, your mind just kind of gets in the way of everything. And so the fact that it's showing up in the root chakra, there's this fear, like, not only could you run out of time, but you're not going to find it. That you are going, like, there's this hole in you, and you can't fill it because you don't know what it is exactly, and you don't know when that's going to be, or what that even is. So there's this underlying current of, I almost want to say, it feels like a desperation, like it's like, come on already, right? Like you know that you came here for a purpose, and everyone's purposes are different, even though many people's lessons are the same. So often, how you go about finding or learning those lessons segues into that direction for that purpose or that calling. So the biggest thing is to work on yourself. That's why I'm such an advocate for inner work. Okay, makes sense? Sacral for Taurus. Sacral for Taurus, please, for February 2021. Sacral for Taurus. Emperor in reverse. Could be some dad wounds here. Might not have been fully connected and feeling like, and so here's the thing. I feel like there's a close connection with dad, like you had a decent to good relationship with your father figure, but the emotional part, like you kind of wish like there was more of an emotional part there to it. The other thing I'm going to say in the sacral, so a lot of times, masculine and feminine energy, we do need to balance, and a lot of that stirs up emotions, which is a big reason why I tend to notice a lot of masculine and feminine wounds in the sacral, although that's not the only place. I hope that makes sense. So the other thing is, so with the dad figure, forgive your dad if you feel like you need to. And so I'll even say this, even if you think you don't need to, do an exercise to forgive your dad anyway, because you might see what comes up for you. You might be surprised if there's something that you're holding on to, but maybe you didn't want to look at because like you really do love your dad. It doesn't mean that because we need to forgive someone that we don't love them. That's not it at all. We can have a lot of mixed feelings and mixed vibrations in one particular relationship. So if you need to forgive your dad, forgive your dad. The other thing I would say here is that I almost kind of feel like in childhood, you were probably like really like reprimanded. You weren't really allowed to show a lot of your emotions because it just, you know, it just made your caregiver or parent uncomfortable. And therefore you interpreted that message and was like, well, I really, you know, I really shouldn't cry. I really shouldn't be angry. I really shouldn't. And then you judge yourself when you are experiencing those emotions and therefore you want to suppress them or hide them. So you really need to find ways to be able to express those emotions that have been sitting there for way too long. It's, you know, life isn't about just being positive all the time and light and love all the time. That's not how it works. In order to get to those higher elevated planes, you need to be able to release the things that are weighing you down. Otherwise, it just feels like you're not going anywhere. Okay. All right. So solar plexus, please, for Taurus, February 2021. Right. Oh, there's a lot. Solar plexus, February 2021 for Taurus. Okay, this is a lot of cards here, but let's just go with it. Page of Cups in reverse, followed by Two of Wands in reverse, Moon card in reverse, Ten of Pentacles in reverse. Sorry if you're not seeing these very well. And then Lover's card in reverse. Give me 1 second. Let's take a look at all of these. All right, Taurus, center of the pile here, you have a lot of the subconscious, the things you've been kind of holding back, it could be suppressing or just kind of sweeping under the rug for you, because this is going to be starting in February with all the Aquarian energy that we're going to be getting. You are going to be going through a major healing phase. I mean, that's always happening, but really pronounced for you. There's going to, okay, so first off, since we're dealing with the solar plexus area, there's a lot here that has to do with your own personal power and how your realization, coming to a very big understanding with how you have been emitting your energy. And so there's a part, okay, so let me show these here to you again. Let me just show these here to you again. So there's a part to you that you've been beginning to realize how there are some emotions that have been stuck in childhood that can make you come off as being a little bit immature. And you know, you might have crossed people's boundaries because of that. Okay, with the Three of Wands in reverse, you might have considered yourself a failure in some things. With Taurus, though, you are. It's not that you don't stick to certain things. There's certain things that you do. You tend to stick with the things that you find to be a little bit easier. But when it comes to like the bigger things that sometimes you don't even approach them because you've kind of given up. You've probably tried certain things, tried to fix certain things in your life, tried to work on certain things. And now there's been like a little state of hopelessness or impatience too, with the whole thing. The Moon card in reverse. This is about the things, like I mentioned, that are going to be coming up for you. The subconscious that is going to come to the surface. You're going to be like, what in the world do I have? What am I going to even do with this? And it's going to make you feel like you were sucker punched, because it's going to be so in your face that, you know, you're going to be like, you're going to feel like it came out of nowhere when really it didn't. You just held it in. You might even be experiencing some stomach issues, or you have been, and trying to figure out what those are, or where that's even coming from. It's coming from you not addressing certain things, not coming face to face with certain things. 10 of Pentacles in reverse. So I feel like you also have, there's a lot of people here, I feel like I've been reading, where there's this thing with time. So it's almost kind of like you're at a certain point in your life and you're like, I don't have all the things that I have wanted. I haven't done the things, gained the things, have the things in my possession that I have wanted. And so you're kind of, it makes you feel like you don't have the control that you've always wanted in your life. Lovers in reverse. So there's also something here to do with like, quite possibly your relationship. Like it's kind of turned on its head a little bit. Not saying that things are going to end or anything, but it almost feels like you question that too, to some degree. You question that also. Like, is this, you know, is this it? Is it not going to get any better than this? Might even be a little bored, Taurus, is what I'm getting. So heart, excuse me, clearing my throat a lot. Okay, so the heart then for Taurus, February 2021. And if that's the case, if you do feel a little bit bored or kind of questioning the relationship, then you need to have a frank and open discussion about your relationship and create some mutual goals. Creating mutual goals is going to be really helpful towards building like partnership, trust, companionship. But you guys have to agree that you're all in and committed. Okay, so heart, it's a lot coming up for you now, starting with that solar plexus. So heart, Taurus, you have the Hanged Man in reverse. We'll keep it up here, followed by Ace of Wands, and then the Hierophant. Okay, so with the heart, so what I'm getting with this is that you've really kind of stuck to how you were brought up. Not that you aren't looking at things from a different perspective or haven't been, but I think that that's going to become a really pronounced thing for you. But, you know, Taurus, you're a fixed sign. So, you know, change doesn't come easy for you, but there's something here that is really, that is going to change things for you. And when I say that, in the heart center, there might be something presented to you where you might need to let go of something. You might need to take some action that is really, really heart-led. And that's going to scare you a little bit because it's going to take you away from what you normally think. So it's almost like your heart over your mind. It feels almost like a battle because you're so in your head a lot. But to be heart-led is actually going to make you a little bit more grounded, to be honest. So there's something here that I feel like is on the horizon. And be open to changing perspectives. Be open to when you take a different perspective on things and go, well, maybe this is a possibility. Maybe this, maybe whatever's being presented to you, you can kind of go, well, maybe I can figure out how this kind of fits into my life and do some integration. Because when you start to think differently, you start to feel differently, and then you'll be able to act differently, which is going to produce different results for you. And so remember, in the solar plexus, you've been kind of going, you know, things haven't panned out the way that I thought. Well, if you keep doing the same things, you're only going to get the same results. You have to do something different in order to have something different in your life, or to bring in a different feeling into your life, to make you feel different, you actually have to be different. And that's scary for you, I know, Taurus, but there's going to be some really, it feels like a really, really good change here in that heart center. It's going to really open that up. And that's going to, when you open up that heart center, that energy is so incredibly strong, it's going to magnetize more experiences to you that you're going to really enjoy. So throat, okay, got one card. So Chariot in reverse. I think you've been finding it a little bit easier to kind of pause before you speak, which is a good thing, because you might fly off the handle, especially if either things aren't going your way, or you you get emotional, and you might just, you know, like say things and then you might want to take them back, or, you know, so this is actually a good thing. All right. And then also pay attention to, okay, not that you necessarily hear anything else. There's a lot of people who are able, you know, to hear different advice or different nudges. So pay attention to the nudges that you get. You might even recognize like a past loved one who you might even almost hear, it almost sounds like their voice in your ear. And when I say almost, it is, that you might be able to pick up on some guidance, because, you know, our spirit guides are always all around us. Okay. So pay attention to that. Third eye, please. See if there's anything else. Third eye for Taurus, February 2021. All right, that's enough. Enough. 8 of Wands in reverse. The Sun card. 6 of Swords. And then 2 of Cups in reverse. Have you been practicing meditation, Taurus? I feel like you have been really trying to kind of slow down like all the different thoughts that are racing through your head, which brings a lot of clarity. You have, you know, because there's things that you want to do. You have a vision for the future, even though you've been, like I mentioned, you've been frustrated with things not panning out by a certain point in your life. I think that you're recognizing the different things that are not serving you. And it's time to face them, because like I brought up in the sacral, like there may have been things that you didn't want to pay attention to, and you're beginning to recognize how you have been, in essence, holding yourself back. So you realize what things you may need to walk away from, but you might be feeling kind of like, I don't quite know how to do that. So, and I say that because of the 2 of Cups in reverse, which is usually like a card that has to do with like relationships and things like that. But this isn't necessarily that. This feels like a separation from yourself, like your higher self, the person who you know yourself to be. And so what I would probably say with this is, when you notice what thoughts are not serving you, write them down, because then that way you can become uber aware when they come up, and you can begin to question that. It's almost like questioning the voice in your head. Oftentimes that inner voice in our head, that is like the critical person, the person who like, you know, we're judging ourselves, we're talking down to ourselves, we're not necessarily giving ourselves the pep talk that we need. That usually comes from like a critical voice from like a parent or caregiver earlier on in life, and then that voice becomes our inner voice. So when you start to notice those thoughts that are coming up, you can begin to kind of go, wait a second, whose was that? Because that's not mine. That's not me at all. And when you begin to kind of slow that down and curb that, you know, that's when you can insert that pep talk and start, that's not mine. That's so-and-so's. And this is what I really do think about myself. This is what I, you know, have more of an intention for myself to be, because I don't have to stay the same person who I was yesterday, the month before, the year before. We are constantly in flux. We're changing all the time. And the thing is, what's kind of disconcerting for a lot of people right now, especially with everything that's been going on since last year, is that we're beginning to realize how fast we are changing. And there are people, you will feel that there are people who are just so stuck that they're trying to resist the change that is coming through. Okay, it's going to be inevitable. This is a cosmic thing that is actually happening right now. That whether or not you want to recognize it, you're going to have to go with the flow. And the more that you resist, the harder it's going to feel for you, the more dense, heavier feelings you're going to have. And it's going to be really uncomfortable. So go with that change. Okay. All right. So crown for Taurus. All right. It's only one card. Four of Wands. All right, Taurus. So you have been searching for a foundation for some time, something that is, you know, like outside the ethers. Like you are looking for that connection with the spiritual realm. And the thing is, you are already connected. We are the ones that tend to disconnect ourselves just because we're trying to figure out what's real, what's not, what's right, what's wrong, when really, if you just kind of set that aside and again, be heart-led by opening that heart space, you'll be able to determine what is right for you. So understand that you have a foundation already. You are an earth sign. You have the connection as long as you gravitate towards the feelings of more love, more joy, more contentment. So practice gratitude. That's really going to help ground you, help you stay grounded. And that's going to help with that connection, because when you are grateful, that means that you have received. That means that you know that, you know, especially with the connection with the spirit realm, that they are supporting you all the time and helping you and guiding you so that way you can create the life that you want, get the, not necessarily just always get the things that you want. That's more of like a byproduct of being on that vibrational frequency where you know that you are an abundant being, not just human being, but an abundant spirit being in the human body. And when you really practice that frequency, then all those other things that you've been concerned about tend to come much more effortlessly. You definitely have manifested, Taurus, a number of things already. You might be chalking it up to luck, and it probably feels more happenstance, but that's just because you need to kind of stay in a certain state of being majority of the time. And I think that up until now, it's kind of been like this, like just up and down, and then it hasn't felt even. And then it gets kind of frustrating because it's just like, oh, wow, everything's so great. And then why isn't everything so great? And then you kind of go back and forth. So just make sure that you understand that you want to, for the majority of the time, get yourself back to that state that's very grounded, and that state that is just pure love, joy, having fun, having a good time, and being grateful. So if any of this resonated with you, please comment below, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.